Hello everyone, my name is Nick Wallace and thank you for joining me tonight. We're going to cook what I think is a very simple dish. We're going to braise down a chicken thigh, which is boneless, but I left a little bit of skin on it. We also are going to puree some butternut squash, and we're going to serve that with some harissa, some roasted vegetables with, as carrots, acorn squash, a little bit of peppers, and a little bit of celery. So super simple, so this should go pretty easy. So I'm gonna run down my ingredients. We have, of course, we have the chicken thigh, the butternut squash. We have a little bit of onion, some fennel top, some yellow bell peppers, carrots, celery, acorn squash. We have some oranges for zest, some lemons. This is one of my seasonings that I like to use. It's a good all-purpose blend. We have the harissa, which is like a homemade hot sauce, but not too much heat. We have some whipped Brie cheese that I whip on the KitchenAid, a little bit of olive oil and butter. Super simple. And the only thing you need is, I'm going to use a fork for turning the chicken, a chef's knife, microplane, potato peeler, and some tasting spoons. So super simple. And just pick your favorite plate. This is one of my favorite plates that I like to use in the house. So you come here for dinner or lunch or breakfast, you get served on that. So we'll go ahead and get started. I have some boiling water that's already going right now. So we're gonna go ahead and start cutting up the butternut squash. So since I'm only making one plate, I'm just gonna save the rest for me. So I'm gonna cut off, and at the top here, as you see on the butternut squash, as the bulbs start going wider, this is where your seeds are. So I don't even need to cut it down here, but your seeds are gonna start about right here. But I'm just gonna cut off just a little piece so you can see the color, beautiful. Reminds you of really good pumpkin. So we're just gonna use the smaller piece. I'm just gonna cut the top down. You can definitely use a potato peeler, or you can use a knife. So you can use a potato peeler. I can show you both worlds. It'll probably be a little bit faster for me just to use a knife. So you just peel it down, discard on your skin. All right, and we're just gonna cut it into some cubes. That may have been a little aggressive, but just please be careful. I feel very comfortable with the knife, so you out there, especially if you're involving the kids, just be careful. So cubes going down in the water, boiling water. So we'll put enough just for one order. There we go. Just gonna add just a little touch of the seasoning in there. So next step is we're gonna go ahead and start getting our veggies together. But while I'm doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and start tempering the cast iron skillet. And that's what we're gonna braise the chicken thigh with. And we'll start with the bell pepper. I love showing people knife skills and all, so we're just gonna run down on the bell pepper really quick. So take off the bottom, take off the top, and cut a side opening. And if you wanna discard some of the white stuff, just take it off. And we're just going to turn the pepper on its side, and we're just going to roll as letting our knife do the work. There we go. This is all you got left. So we're just going to cut that into some like medium dice, and that's all we need. So we'll just reserve the rest for later. Celery next. And then we'll go up into the carrots. Celery, it's been cleaned already. We'll split them down the middle, and then we'll just do a medium dice on it also. Okay. On the carrot, we'll just take the top off, and we will use the potato peeler on this. And on the carrot, I'm just gonna take it down to a size that I can control. So just think about that when you're cutting and all. So we're gonna split down the middle, and we're gonna do about the same size. Okay. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and add in a little bit of onion. So I'll just cut the bottom piece off. Go ahead and just split this baby in half. Knowing good ways to cook like Southern classics and just really good food is just really a necessity right now. And a lot of times, you know, a lot of people don't feel very comfortable by asking a chef like me to come in and cook. They often do, but you can also too view me online as you're doing right now, and you can go ahead and cook with me or just replicate this dish for your family. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna dice just a little bit of this onion up. I'm not gonna split it to get a small dice because I only need just a little bit, and it don't have to be that small. And remember, in the kitchen, stay clean. It's always the best thing. So all right, so now you got the acorn squash. A lot of times people probably overlook these squash and just say they are for decoration, probably because they are really cool because they look just like a huge acorn. So what I like to do is I like to reserve everything for the acorn for veggie stocks, different sauces like veloutés, and for me, making vegetable stock with an acorn squash is like one of the best. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the bottom and the top off, and then I'm gonna show you guys what the inside look like. But look at that color. It's quite gorgeous. So we'll go to the top now. Make sure you got a firm grip. And I'm gonna split this so you guys can see the inside. It's quite gorgeous. I'm gonna reserve a lot of this right here for me, and I'm gonna make a risotto tomorrow, acorn squash risotto. So what I'm gonna do is just cut these kind of like in triangles. Split it down the middle once, and then go into triangles. So we'll leave that just like so. Butternut squash is coming along pretty fantastic. So all this is gonna be really simple. So we're gonna add a little bit of oil in both skillets for the roasted vegetables and also too for the chicken thigh. So on the big skillet, I'm gonna take all the veggies. Bring the seasoning over. A little bit of seasoning. Now, as these veggies cook, I'm going to add a little bit of fennel, but I'm also too going to use the fennel for a little bit of decoration too, because it's so gorgeous. So I'm going to reserve some of the tops and all for the actual dish, but the rest I'm just going to rough chop it, and I'm just going to throw it right in. It's going to give you a lot of fragrance, you know, to the dish, a whole different depth of flavor too. And now we're just going to let them cook. So we're going to start working on the chicken thigh. I'm going to save the skin side to season last right before it goes into the skillet. Flip over. Always think about cross-contamination when it comes down to chicken. Okay, I'm just going to turn one more time. There we go. All right, we're going to go right in, skin side down first. And we're going to let that do its thing. Fall in love with that skillet. I'm going to go ahead and check on the butternut squash. It's looking good. This definitely reminds you of like sweet potatoes. We're going to use this this stick blender, and you should get you one because all you do is detach that and wash this and keep this clean, and you're good to go. But I'll show you guys that. Super simple to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and start doing a little bit of the zest while the chicken is cooking. So this is just a really good navel orange. So we're going to take some of the zest off. I'm actually going to use a little bit of the zest on the chicken. And this is just a microplane that you can get from the store, grocery store, Walmart. Just be careful because it will do your skin just like that. So just have that fear in there. As long as you respect it, you'll be okay. Just take like a little bit at a time. Don't try to get too aggressive with it. We're going to add in a little bit of lemon too. You can see how it just takes the skin completely off too. And you can see on this chicken thigh that the skin is already starting to get very caramelized right now. So you want that. But you want this to get some very deep color. Now, as you can see, the thigh, it's definitely uneven, which most thighs are. Now, if you wanted to make sure you got even cooking all the way around, I'm just going to take one of my wonderful paring knives. Sorry, I love my knives. So we're just going to like butterfly just a bit and just to open it up, just to make sure it gets in that skin. We're going to cut this chicken in like 4s once we plate it up. So we're just only doing this just to ensure that we get everything cooked a little evenly. A little bit of seasoning. And this is another good thing too. You get to add a whole nother depth of flavor inside of the chicken as well. You can see on these roasted vegetables, it looks really yummy. Now I'm going to turn up the roasted vegetables just a little bit because I want to get a little bit more color on them. So I turned them up to high now. And as you can see on the butternut squash, it's starting to fall apart. So we pretty much got this butternut squash where we want it, almost. So once we're almost ready to puree, I'm just going to drain off a little bit of water. I'm going to stick in the stick blender. I'm going to add a little bit of butter to it and also a little bit more seasoning, and we're just going to whip it up. So this is whipped Brie. So on the Brie cheese, I take Brie and I temper it up to about 110 degrees. I add a little bit of heavy cream to it and I whip it. And I love the texture of it. You can do so many wonderful things with this. So we're just going to paint it across the plate, right across the plate. There we go. We're going to flip over on our chicken thigh now. So as you can see, you can look at all that flavor, that crispy skin. And to be quite honest, not to be so cocky, but you can be in your own kitchen when you're cooking. You don't get no better than that. I mean, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Butternut squash is just about there. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. I'm going to drain off a little bit of the water into our bowl here. That we're not going to use the scraps. Just a little bit of the water. Just like so. We have butter here. Butter goes right in. We're going to take it back over to the stove. Seasoning with a little bit more of Nick's lovely seasoning. So now, you remember that zest that we just did with the oranges and the lemon. We're going to add a little bit to the chicken, but we're also going to add some into our butternut squash. So we will come back to add that on the chicken. So now, we're going to take our stick blender, and I'm just going to mash it around just a little bit before I turn it on, because I want the liquid to be pretty much over the top of where the blender is. And now we're going to turn it on. We're going to keep it on low. And you can see, as you can see right now, there we go. Alright, we take this off. You can check out that butternut squash puree. It's quite gorgeous. I will let that sit there and chill, and I will taste some of this too. It's almost time for plating. Only if we had a vegetarian taster right now, it would be so lovely to have. Oh, we have somebody. This is butternut squash puree. I just finished it off with one of my favorite seasonings. Some zest of an orange, zest of a lemon. Yeah, thank you very much. So this is going to add a great, great flavor. So I'll send you the recipe. Thank you. Thank you for joining. So don't be frightened if your veggies and all definitely have color. Just think about roasted peppers. You know, roasted peppers was a thing for a long time. Chicken thigh is almost there. I'm just gonna go ahead and go to the back side and let it cook a little bit more, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat off. All right, so what we're gonna do is, while that chicken is finishing up, we're gonna take the butternut squash, do a few dollops, just like so. Now we're going to take some of these roasted vegetables, just like so. All right, now we have the chicken. So what I did was I added the chicken right directly in the zest. I didn't want the zest to caramelize or nothing. I just wanted to finish it off. Like, everything is all about building flavors. So now I'm gonna add the thigh on the board, and I'm gonna cut it directly down the middle now first. And I'm just gonna cut little pieces. And we're gonna start plating this up now. Okay, just like so. Take a little bit of this harissa and a little bit of the veggies, the chicken, our fennel. It's gonna go. Now it's just more flavor on top of more flavor. Okay. And there you go. So here we have pan roasted chicken thigh. We have a puree of butternut squash. We have sauce harissa, some whipped brie, some really nice, lovely roasted vegetables. This is topped off with a little bit of fennel tops, and you can plate it up however you want. It's super easy to do, but this is like dining with Nick. So this is like putting me right into your world, creating something that's great and definitely affordable too. You can change this chicken thigh into lamb if you want. You can turkey, or you could just do veggies. So look, while we're here right now is we are raising money for HBCUs, and we want to try to get as much money as possible. Now, I'm not a graduate of HBCUs, but the one thing I have been an advocate for HBCUs. You will definitely hear my name floating around from like Dr. Hudson and all. I'm one of his go-to chefs, so it's not nothing to brag on. It's about I love to be able to support it some kind of way, even on speaking or talking or mentoring, whatever I have to do. I'm definitely going to do my little small part. I want you to do yours too. So this is Dining with Nick tonight. Donate as much money as you can, and I hope you really, really love the dish, and it smells quite lovely. Y'all have a good night.